unbelievable. Wherever you go, it's just death, destruction, the literal ends of worlds.
I know.
Hey guys, what's going on? We're here to talk Loki Episode 2.
That's right, everybody. We're coming at you. Are we going to finally find out who the villain is here on the second episode? Or the better question, why am I dressed like Robin Hood? For those of you that have seen the episode, you probably already know the answer to that question. But for those of you that haven't, you better stick around because we're about to find out.
All right, guys, so Loki Episode 2. Billy, start us off. What do
All
we got
right,
here?
man. So first of all, there, Cap, I think you're dressed a little.
You're dang right.
I think you're dressed a little wrong for this episode, as we're about to find out. But it starts.
Well, I didn't realize we were reviewing a Robin Hood movie.
Hey, we're reviewing a Loki movie that takes place in a Ren Fair in the beginning. Everybody know about Ren Fairs, or you don't know about Ren Fairs, do you?
I've never been to a Renaissance fair.
Oh, man. Woo. Ren
Had
Fairs.
some turkey leg.
Yeah, but you ain't had no Ren Fair turkey leg now.
I had medieval times turkey leg.
Yeah, it still doesn't compare to a
That's
real
pretty
Ren Fair.
close, though. That's pretty
You
close.
never had one, so you don't know. So we start out in Oshkosh, Wisconsin, 1985 at a Renaissance Festival or a Ren Fair.
Also the year of Back to the Future.
Yes, great year. Great movies come out in the 80s. So, as I said, Ren Fairs are amazing. I love them. I mean, where else can you go where people can just dress up, have a good time, eat some amazing food? Like here in the Maryland, D.C., Northern Virginia area where we're at, we've got the Maryland Ren Fair that starts every year. Actually, might be going right now. I might have to take a trip. But you go there, and one of their specialties, because, of course, it's Maryland, and Maryland's big on their crabs, is they got these giant breaded pretzels with cheesy crab dip on them. I tell you, man, this stuff's awesome. Cheesy crab dip pretzels.
Maybe you need a nice, Ren Fair chick.
A big yeah, there you go. A big roasted turkey leg. You can't beat it, man. And you go and you get to watch the jousting.
Look at that. You too concentrate on food.
You get to watch the sword fighting, the jousting. You can't. It's awesome, man. It's good. And then you see all these people. Like people literally put like thousands of dollars into their costumes, man. Some of these people, man, they're nuts.
Yeah.
There's some crazy people out there.
Bunch of nerds dressing like old
like
time. When they could be dressing like Marvel characters.
Yeah, they could, man. But you got those LARPers out there, man. You know, it's good times. All right. So anyway, back to Loki. So yeah, it starts out in this Ren Festival. You got the killer Loki who lures some more Minutemen there and kills them.
TVA.
Yeah, TVA.
Fine men and women of the TVA.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Lures them into this big tent, and then does what this fake Loki does best, right? Just kills them all.
Yeah, and as she's tearing them up, they're playing that song "Holding Out for a Hero." Reminds me a little Shrek 2. They got this little.
Reminds me of some Robin
Hood.
Hood.
Goes good with the Ren Fair.
Reminds me of some Robin Hood hero.
Yeah, okay. I don't think they played that. In that
so this ain't the Men in Tights Robin Hood though.
It might be.
No, man. This is the
You got the blonde hair. You're not too much Kevin Costner.
I do got that. Yeah, he wasn't wearing tights. But in this time around, what does he do? This hidden Loki takes a hostage, right? They didn't do that in the first one. They're saying this is the first time they've ever seen him take a hostage. So he snatches up he knocks her out, snatches her up, and sucks her into the time warp with him.
Yep, and then they go back to the TVA headquarters, and of course now Loki is kind of working for the TVA, right?
Yeah. Now we got some good action going on. Now as we start the nice Starsky and Hutch, the nice MIB, Tommy Lee Jones, Will Smith kind of dynamic they got going there.
A little buddy cop action, but trying to figure out what's going on here.
That's right, with Mobius and Loki. Then, of course, Loki, being the Loki that he is still got to be a trickster, still got to have his way. So, they go to the scene of the crime, and Loki's trying to give this other trickster, or at least what he's saying he's trying to do, the way he says it later on, is that he was trying to give this trickster some time. So he's stalling, right? He's walking the crime scene, stalling for time, just making the Minutemen waste their time screwing around inside this tent when they could be going on to the next clues to chase down this criminal Loki.
Yeah, he says, hey, if you leave this tent, you're going to get killed. So he kind of stalls and I guess affords the other Loki time to get away. Right?
Exactly. And then Mobius finally catches him in his slip-up and says, he's lying. Let's get out of here.
How good is Owen Wilson as Mobius?
Owen Wilson's awesome, man. Owen Wilson is awesome as Mobius. And honestly, just the dynamic between him and Tom Hiddleston, I think they couldn't have picked a better pair on that, man. I thought it was great. It's really good the way those two react to each other. And, and of course, just Owen Wilson's laid back attitude, right? Everything you always see him in, he's got that like laid back, lackadaisical kind of attitude. And even when he's mad, he still talks in his like laid back Owen Wilson voice,
He's such a good addition to this universe. I hope we see more of him outside of Loki. But
man.
Who knows what's in store for him?
Yeah, I really hope so.
So, and Loki's like chilling, I think, at Mobius's desk, and he's looking through like a jet ski magazine. There's a lot of talk about this jet ski.
There is a lot of talk about jet ski. And, so Loki's asking Mobius, hey, man, what's up with this jet ski magazine? Why are you so big into jet skis? Do you have jet skis in the TVA? And he's like, well, no, we don't. He was like, then what's up? He's like, oh, well, jet skis like the greatest invention of all time, right? Like Mobius
I like
loves
how
jet
Loki's
skis,
like,
right?
I suppose.
Right? Yeah, Loki's like, all right, I can see that. Yeah.
I'm like, we're talking about jet skis here, right?
Jet skis pretty dang cool, yeah. Exactly. So, Mobius gives a spiel, hey, this is why I love jet skis, man. It's like the greatest invention ever made. So Loki's like, yeah. He's like, well, have you ever ridden one? And Mobius is like, well, nah, man, it looked kind of out of place. A TVA agent out there riding a jet ski on the ocean, which I don't quite get how that look out of place, right? You just blend in with anybody else. But,
he's saying it would interfere with the timeline.
Yeah, or could potentially interfere with the timeline, right? So, but he's talking about how bad he wants to ride a jet ski. So I'm waiting. I'm thinking when this season closes out, we're going to end up seeing Mobius on a jet ski at some point.
Yeah, I don't think we've seen last of that jet ski. I mean, that scene went on for a little long for it not to come back later.
Yeah,
I think,
exactly.
So.
Well, and then, of course, and then he's talking to Miss DNA, right?
Miss DNA, the Miss Minutes here.
Miss Minute, yeah, exactly. So she's quizzing him on TVA rules and regulations, and he's kind of giving her smart aleck remarks. And then he's like, hey, so are you alive? Are you a program or what? And she's like, yeah, I guess I'm a little bit of both. So he rolls up his newspaper, starts trying to, or the magazine, and starts trying to whack the crap out of her. So she's jumping around. He's playing whack-a-mole with her. And, of course, she finally jumps back into the computer. That was pretty...
Yeah, I think that's an important scene because their conversation... He says what would happen if they couldn't reset things on the timeline, and
that comes to play.
She kind of remarks, "Well, that'd be disastrous."
Yeah,
so
and it would be.
I think that might come.
She basically says it'd be the end of the sacred timeline as we know it. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and what else? What Loki's like now going through files, trying to figure out what's going on here, where this other Loki could be hiding.
Right. So Mobius, of course, gets in trouble for Loki screwing around. He gets told by Ramona, kind of the boss lady there in TVA land, that, I'm giving Loki one more shot, and if he screws it up again, then it's over. So, of course, Mobius is angry, even when he's angry, like I said, with Owen Wilson, he's still in his, normal tone, kind of chill, laid-back voice, but he's still acting angry at Loki. It basically tells Loki, look, you got one more shot. So Loki finally gets serious. He starts digging into the files that Mobius gives him, right? But what was funny about the area where he was at? So he goes into this, basically a library area, but it's like old school, right? Like, it's got an old school librarian, it's got a little ding bell and all that to get that librarian's attention. But yet, when you look out the window, like they're in this super advanced city with flying cars and crap, yet they got the old school library set up, right? You got like the card catalog kind of stuff going on here, and there's nothing digital. It's all in actual books written and laid out on shelves and all that. So that was kind of crazy.
Yeah, the TVA has like advanced technology, then they have old school stuff, kind of like they're using rotary phones. And their helmets are even like standard military, not even like spec ops stuff. So they go a little futuristic and a little old school.
Yeah, and then they got those really cool, staffs that'll zap you and turn you into nothing. So it's like it's kind of crazy how they do that. They throw the old school and the new school, but then they never explain why things are that way, and nobody asks. So not sure why that is the way it is, but I guess it looks kind of cool.
So Loki's playing detective here, and he's going through all the files, and he sees that. He finds out that Asgard was destroyed. Yeah,
and you see a little Loki tear comes to his eye. You see him get a little emotional there, saying, "Oh crap, my whole freaking planet that I wanted to take over and rule myself is gone now."
But then he has like a light bulb moment, right?
Yep. And then he has his light bulb moment. And he realizes, well, holy crap, man! Wait a minute. If everything's gonna die, then you really can't screw up that timeline, right? Because there's nobody left to tell the timeline being screwed up. So he gets this idea that, hey, I think our variant, Loki, is hiding out in Armageddons, in apocalypses. So, of course, he rushes to Mobius, and Mobius is like, oh, cool, yeah, okay, I like that idea.
And he rushes to Mobius, and he's trying to enjoy some kind of salad or his lunch or something like that.
Right. So Mobius is eating his salad, just trying to be alone and eat his lunch and enjoy his lunch during his lunch break. And Loki comes over and snags this, and Mobius like, whoa, what are you doing with my salad, man?
It looked like he really wanted that salad.
Oh, yeah, man. He was digging that salad, man. And, of course, Loki's trying to explain his theory, and he's pouring salt and pepper all over Mobius' salad. And then old Casey or Kyle or Kelly or Kenneth or whatever his name is, right? Casey. He's sitting over across the way, and Loki's like, oh, man, I need something for, like, the final blow of the Armageddon here, right? So he runs over and grabs Casey's grabs his juice box, and just pours it all over Mobius' salad. Now, what the heck a grown man is doing, drinking out of a juice box? He's got like his high C going.
They're really nerding up Casey.
No, that's true. Yeah.
I don't know why, but
yeah, that guys they really nerded.
Yeah,
that
so
guy
his whole point is like no matter what you do before that, it doesn't matter because the apocalypse is going to kind of reset all the stuff done before.
Yep. So you can go in there and make a fool of yourself and do whatever you want during the apocalypse because it's not going to matter and it's not going to change anything in the timeline.
Yep, and they test that out. They go to the Pompeii event there.
Yeah, they go to the Pompeii event, and of course, Mobius is freaking out, like, okay, let's just do something small, whistle like a dog, and Loki's like, nah, man. He just rushes and starts yelling at people, saying, hey, you're all gonna die, and screaming at them, and they're like, what? Look at this guy.
I like where he's like, we're from the future. He's like, are we from the future? It seems kind of futuristic. Right. TVA.
So of course, he's telling them this, and they're looking at him like he's crazy, and then next thing you know, Mbatha-Raw erupts, and they all run screaming bloody murder. So that was kind of funny how they played that out.
Yep. So then they go back and they figured it out like, hey, this other variant's probably hiding in these things, so we need to start looking into anything related to that.
Mm-hmm, yep.
And then they remember the what was like a candy bar from the first one.
Yeah, the candy bar,
like candy wrapper.
Yeah,
and then they're cross-referencing that.
So if you remember in the first episode, the variant Loki, the bad one, gave a little kid some candy. And so based on what was left of that candy, they were able to calculate what time period that candy was from. So they were able to track down and locate kind of what apocalyptic type events happened within that time frame that candy existed, right? So they narrowed it down to this one apocalypse event, which I think
they narrowed it down to like the region and stuff as well because of where place that could have sold the candy.
Yeah, exactly. Like where in the U.S. this candy was made because it was a U.S. candy. Yeah, so they finally narrowed it down and found the apocalyptic event that they figured, okay, this is probably the one where this Loki's hiding out at, doing his damage. So they go there, and of course they're going to split up into. Well, first of all, I guess Mobius tries giving Loki some weapons, right? And old girl, the head of the
security of
the Minutemen security, she's like, heck no, and she snatches that stuff up. And Loki's like, that's no big deal. I can use magic in the real world anyway. So they end up...
Although we don't see too much magic from him, which is kind of odd.
Yeah, no, it was odd. Especially since you're seeing a good amount of it from the other Loki, right?
He uses like magic to dry himself, but he doesn't use any magic to like when he's fighting or dealing with this other variant.
Well, and that's crazy thing too, right? So they teleport to the, so they first of all they get their team together. There's like 8 of them I think, and they're going to be in 2-man teams, and they teleport to this new time period to Alabama, to the coastal areas of Alabama, and it's like they teleport right to this big electronics store, right? And I guess actually it's more like a Walmart because they sell plants and all kinds of stuff too, right? Because that one guy was like looking at plants, so they sell all kinds of stuff there. Anyway, it's like a big Walmart, and but when they get there, like you see this like satellite or something crash into the sign. And then, like, it just all blows away, right? Because the wind's so bad and stuff. Because the apocalyptic event is a giant hurricane that's going to wipe this whole area out, right? And you see, it shows you the sea that's, like, coming up over the land. And it's almost going to hit this, this store they're at. Yeah, they teleport there. And they're just, like, walking through it like it's nothing. Like, the wind's not bothering them at all, even though it just blew the heck out of this sign and blew it away into nothing. So, I'm not sure kind of how that, worked out that way. You think they'd have been, like, fighting the wind or something trying to walk into this store. But... that wasn't the case. They just walked in all lackadaisical, like, there was nothing going on.
Yeah, and they're looking through this store, looking for the other variant, and they eventually find them, and they find out it's a female Loki, like, running.
Yeah, and they also find out. Yeah, first, they out, before, you get notice that it's actually the female Loki, Loki gets teamed up with the captain of the guard, I guess, the female that's in charge of the Minutemen. And they're walking around, and they come across this dude and shopping, and they're like, "Whoa! Like, what are you doing here shopping in the middle of a hurricane?" He's like, "It's half off plant sale, man.
It's like hurricane sale.
It's hurricane sale. I'll get these spares for 50% off." So she's like, "Hey, man, could this be the other you?" And Loki's like, "Well, yeah, I would prefer to wear a suit, but yeah, that could definitely be me." So she walks up, and the guy touches her, and then he faints, and then now she's under this mind control. So you find out that this other Loki controls people through mind control. And she can transfer that just by touching somebody else, right? So she gets in a fight with, so she ends up transferring to another person who transfers to another person who fights Loki. And then eventually you see the real Loki come out and you find out it's a female, right? So this female Loki comes out and, she's, got short blonde hair. Really doesn't look anything like you would think a female Loki would look like because you think she'd have black hair too like Loki. But this one's got the short blonde hair.
She's got some kind of headpiece on that has horns.
Horns
and one
on
of the
it.
horns is like broken in half.
Mm-hmm. Yep. You know, and then she sets off so the whole purpose is, if you remember from the first episode, she was collecting those the time reset bombs, you know, that they use. So she collected a ton of those. So in this, you find out her whole plan, what she was doing with them. You know, as they're in this store and she's getting done fighting with Loki, she messes around with this button and presses it, and then all these time bombs get sent into the timeline, right?
Yeah, well, first, like, our Loki is trying to make a deal with this female Loki and saying, hey, I'm going to take over the TVA. You can be like my lieutenant. How's that sound? And she's like,
yeah, you're
no
crazy.
thanks.
Yeah, no. Like,
I got my own plan.
Yeah, she's like, I'm the real Loki here. You know, I'm the smart one. I got my own plan.
Yeah, to me, it makes it seem like she doesn't want to take over the TVA. She wants to destroy it, because I think she feels that people are being enslaved because you have no free will. It's all related to these timekeepers who have a pre-plan for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
And you can't vary from like their plan.
Exactly. And the kind of part of the show that leads you to think that is when Loki's talking with Mobius about free will, right? And Loki's like, so what, you know, so Loki's basically saying, well, then here in the TV, you know, when Mobius is kind of explaining to Loki how everything works, and Loki's like, okay, then where's the free will? And Mobius is like, hey, man, he's like, you're saying you were created by these timekeepers and you've got one job and that's all you ever do. Where's your free will? And Mobius is like, I don't care. He's like, I got a good life. I'm living here, you know, enjoying my life. I like what I do, so I really don't care about free will.
Yeah, he doesn't seem to question much.
Nah, yeah, he didn't question anything. So that kind of leads you down, you know, to that thought process that, okay, you know, maybe this other
He just wants to see
plan.
people enjoying their jet skis.
Yeah, exactly.
That's all he wants.
Yep, he just wants everybody having a good time. Yeah. So, no, it was good. But yeah, and there's a lot of ways they could take it. Now, the one thing that really, you know, pulled it off is somebody found on, you know, some gumshoe that was really paying attention to the episode, and in the end found that when you look at the very end of the episode and you're watching the credits, at the end it shows you like all the different dub versions. You know, you got your Spanish version, your German version, Dutch, French. Well, in one of the Spanish versions, it gives the name of the bad Loki. It's the only one that does it. All the rest of them just give some generic term for it, like bad Loki or something. But this one gives the name for it, and it says Sylvie. And then somebody else went and looked through the files that Loki was looking at, and in one of the files it says, what was it, Sylvie Lofidolter. And Lofidolter, so Loki is the frost giant that was Loki's dad. So Loki is Loki Lofison. So when you see Sylvie Lofidolter, that means she is the daughter of Loki, right? So
you and these names, man.
Yeah, man, you got to get them right. Lofidolter. That's how you say it. So evidently, you got a female Loki going on here. You know, but even though some people...
And Sylvie is tied to another character, right?
So Sylvie, the first name Sylvie, is actually tied to another character from the Young Avengers story arc, which I've never been really familiar with. But evidently, that Sylvie, Sylvie Lofton, I believe her name was actually just a human who Loki, with his mischievous ways, well, actually a female Loki in her mischievous ways, imbued her with the power of Loki, and then ended up making her like basically her little spy within the Young Avengers, right? So she's kind of controlling this Sylvie girl, and she gives her the moniker Enchantress, you know, kind of after Amora. You know, she kind of give her Loki/Amora type powers, calls her Enchantress, and kind of uses her as her little spy in the Young Avengers. And that's really all I know about that, because I'm not real big on the Young Avengers story arc. I don't know. I mean, do you know anything about it?
No, I haven't really seen it. All right, Robin Hood, what would you rate this?
All right, man. So I gave last week's a 7 because I didn't think it was up to speed. I thought it was taking a little long to get to where we were going. But this one, you know, we got all the good action in it, the nice Starsky Hutch, Men in Black action. They're out there doing their investigations. They're tracking down the Loki. We got to see who the villain is. I was happy with that. I thought it was good. I thought the way they played out that part of the story and all the questions they left me with, right? I mean, you're left with a lot of questions. Like, okay, what's going to happen next? What is this Loki really planning? And we've talked about a couple of things that could be potential, but there's a lot of things that are just left unanswered that we don't know about. So I'm going to give it an 8. Good, easy 8.
Yeah, from the first episode, I thought it was already better than Falcon and the Winter Soldier and WandaVision. And this one, I don't think this is any better than the first episode. I just think it rightfully expands on it. So I gave the first one an 8. I think this one's right there with it, and I'm giving this one an 8. There are some things I question, like they're really concerned with Loki mucking with the timeline, but yet in Endgame, they pluck Gamora out from another multiverse and put her in the current one, and no one seems to be concerned with that. So is the TVA going to eventually come for Gamora? And they did mention the Avengers, like Loki said, why aren't you going after the Avengers? They're mucking with the time and all that kind of stuff. And they just kind of brush that off and say, they always were meant to do that.
Right, exactly. Yeah, but so poor Loki, basically they're just saying, Loki, you got the short end of the stick, man. You're not allowed to screw the timeline, but the Avengers can do it if they want to. Or the Guardians of the Galaxy can do it if they want to, but you, not so much.
It would be kind of interesting if the TVA's like threat was always a Loki and he just has something to do where he's constantly messing with the timeline. Because all the ones they show have been Loki.
We're all Lokis,
so
right.
That might make sense, but they haven't specifically said, no, it's just Lokis are the problem.
They went through all those different Lokis that they have tracked down before and gotten rid of, and one of them like a Hellboy Loki, and you had like all these different looking Lokis. So maybe Loki has been their threat every time all along, and that's the main variant that they're trying to track down because he's the one that keeps trying to screw up the timeline. So,
but I'm looking forward to the third episode. Like I'm really into it. Like I said, I'm enjoying it better than the other two. So I love the chemistry between Tom Hiddleston and Owen Wilson. It's just fantastic.
Yeah, no, it was great, man. I agree. I'm definitely looking forward to it as well. And hey, if you guys like this episode, click like and subscribe. We appreciate you watching, and we'll catch you on the next review.
See you guys.